Hey, Mike, tonight we are doing The Insider from 1999. Do you know that this was nominated for Academy Awards? Do you know how many it was nominated for?
I don't know, like what, 10?
Wipe that smoke off your face! We're doing The Insider, like I said before, but I just did that line from the movie. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to Forgotten Cinema. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy Forgotten Cinema, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram, Facebook, maybe TikTok. We're available on all platforms with a backlog of over 275 episodes for your listening pleasure. What's up?
Oh, nothing much. I just quit my really high-paying job at
Super high pay.
Third largest tobacco company in the world. Took my severance. My daughter's allergic to dust, so I really need that medical pay. So I really can't talk about anything. Because I signed a non-disclosure agreement, but I really got fired for some backdoor crap that really isn't my fault, because I found some stuff out about big tobacco that's even worse than usual. And, it's not great. And Al Pacino keeps trying to get me to do this expose on 60 Minutes. And I just don't know. People are threatening my family. It's a terrible time.
You made that choice.
I did.
You made that choice. We are doing The Insider from 1999. Mike has never seen this film. I have, and I have not talked about to him since then. So,
no.
I know he's watched it. I don't know what he thought about it. I know how I think about it. So this is going to be this could be a very interesting episode if it doesn't go the right way. Anyways, The Insider is a runtime of 157 minutes. Oof, that's 2 hours and 37 minutes, people. Rated R. Production budget of $90 million. It came out on November 5th, 1999. That was a Friday. Opening weekend, it did $6.7 million. Domestic, 29. International, 31, for a worldwide total of $60 million. Production company was Touchstone Pictures, Spyglass Entertainment, and Forward Pass, and it was distributed by Buena Vista Pictures Distribution, a.k.a. Disney. So I said this film came out on the 5th. Let's go back to the 29th of October, where you had a wide release of House on Haunted Hill and Music of the Heart. And a limited release, of Being John Malkovich and Princess Mononoke. Have you seen any of those? No.
I've seen Being John Malkovich.
Yeah, everyone has.
Did I see the House on Haunted Hill?
That's the remake.
With who's
Is that Craven's remake, or he did the original? He did the original.
I don't know if I've seen the remake or not.
I don't know. I haven't. Isn't it with
I've seen The Haunting, but with Liam Neeson, but that's The Haunting.
Yes.
So that's different. Yeah. So no, I don't think I have.
I have seen the movie on the 5th that came out against this in a wide release, The Bone Collector.
I've seen The Bone Collector, yeah.
And The Bachelor, and a limited release of American Movie. Did you ever see American Movie? It's like a doc about these two guys making a film, and he's made. There's a bunch of different. There's a lot of stuff from the movie that is quotable. But one of the things I always remember when he's talking about, it's supposed to be about witches and a coven of witches, but one of the guys is pronouncing it coven. He's like it's coven. Like oven, that's just
So it's it's like a fake documentary.
It's a real doc about these two. That this one guy making a movie, and he's just not
good at doing it.
It's a really good film. It's just so he's got this buddy that you have to watch it. It's kind of like what's the Fistful of Quarters? Do you remember the one? That's kind of like that. It's kind of, it was in that. It's got a bunch of characters in it that are just you need to watch it.
Weird. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay,
American Movie. You on the 10th, so the Wednesday in between, right after this, when this film came out, November 10th, you had a wide release of Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back.
I have seen that one.
And the movie lighted up. And then on the 12th, the week after, you had a wide release of The Messenger. It was called The Messenger then. Now they retitled it The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Anywhere But Here and Dogma. I know you've seen that. And a limited release of Felicia's Journey.
When this is coming out, I believe was when Dogma's slowly coming back. I think that's when it's touring and they're getting the Blu-ray ready and stuff.
Dogma, you think that's a re-release?
When this episode's coming out, yeah,
right.
Because he got back the rights now, yeah.
All right, well, Dogma.
I know you don't like Dogma.
I don't love Dogma. It's not one of my. I like parts of Dogma. I don't love it. It's not one of my favorite Kevin Smith films. This film was directed by Michael Mann, who's done Manhunter, Heat, Thief.
I know a movie we did.
Miami Vice.
A movie we did.
And Ferrari. You should see Ferrari.
And Collateral, one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie.
But I don't have it here on the credits.
Well, we did it, and it's one of my favorite movies. Although Thief is probably one of my favorite movies that we've done on this that I never saw before. It might actually be the best movie I think that we've done on this cast that I had never seen yet.
Interesting.
So I love Thief.
I guess we know where the insider sits.
Thief is really good.
This is written by Eric Roth and Michael Mann. Mann has also done The Keep, Public Enemies, Ali. Roth has been nominated 7 times for Oscars. He's won once for Forrest Gump. Mank was nominated, Dune Part 1 as well. Cinematographer was Dante Spinotti, who's, I said that name, Spinotti? It's probably Spinotti. I apologize. Nominated for an Oscar for LA Confidential. He's also done Hudson Hawk.
A movie we did.
And Wonder Boys. Composer was Pietre Bourque, who's done Ali and Ferrari, and Lisa Gerard, who's done Gladiator and Whale Rider.
Gladiator's movie we did for our lead-up series to Gladiator.
All right. Edited by William Goldenberg, David Rosenblum, and Paul Rubel. Goldenberg has been nominated 5 times for an Oscar, winning for Argo. He's also done Zero Dark 30. Rosenblum has done Deep Impact and Black Mass, and Rubel has done Collateral. There you go, Butler, which he was nominated for, and The Fate of the Furious. I don't know which number that is. I think that's 6 or 7, 8, maybe.
Yeah, it's somewhere closer to 10. Yeah.
Producer was Pietre John Bruges, who's done Defiance and Bulworth, and Michael Mann obviously produced it as well. He's done Hancock, Band of the Hand, and he was nominated for an Oscar for Aviator because that was nominated for Best Picture. Got a big cast in terms of credentials and who's in it. Al Pacino as Lowell Bergman, nominated 9 times for Oscars, but he only won for
Dog Day Afternoon.
Scent of a Woman. Excellent. Thanks for playing. He's also in Jack and Jill. And that is one of my favorite. And I will hold that Dunkachino scene up against anything Al Pacino has done in his career. No, I'm sorry, but
rest in peace, Dunkachino.
I love that. Anyways, Russell Crowe as Jeffrey Wigand from LA Confidential. He's nominated for that. He won an Oscar for
Gladiator,
and he was nominated for A Beautiful Mind. And we'll get to what else he was nominated for. Christopher Plummer as Mike Wallace, who was nominated for 3 Oscars, and he's won for Beginners. He's also
is this our first Christopher Plummer film?
I think it might be.
Wow. Okay.
He did All the Money in the World, which was nominated for, and The Last Station as well. Diane Venora, who plays Leanne Wigand, who is obviously Jeffrey Wigand's wife. She's in Heat, Romeo and Juliet, and The Jackal. And Calm Fiore as Richard Scruggs from The Chronicles of Riddick. I don't know why I'm saying it like that.
Nice.
TV show Storm of the Century, and more recently the Netflix show The Umbrella Academy.
I gotta say, as soon as he appeared, I was like, "This is the leader of the bad guys from Chronicles of Riddick." Bruce, probably not what he wants to be known for.
Bruce McGill as Ron Motley, who is in Animal House, My Cousin Vinny, and
I was so caught up on Chronicles, I didn't even hear what you're saying.
Bruce McGill.
Oh, he's God.
The TV show Quantum
Leap.
I'm not going to have the argument with you again, but go back to our Shattered episode? No, Time Cop.
It's our Time Cop episode.
Go back to our Time Cop episode.
Where we talk about his...
We've already discussed this.
Whether or not he's God on
We've already discussed this. I'm not going to go down that tangent again.
He's God.
Michael Gambon as Thomas Sandifer, who's obviously he is...
Dumbledore?
Yes, Dumbledore in Harry Potter. Well, he took over for Richard Harris. He's also in Gosford Park, and he's also in The Cook, The Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover.
And Layer Cake, which is an episode we did.
Listen, if it's not, okay.
It's my job now to pepper these in if I have to.
Debbie Mazur as Debbie DeLuca, who is Empire Records, Batman Forever, and the TV show Entourage. Philip Baker Hall as Don Hewitt. He's in Magnolia, Heart 8, and 3 O'Clock High.
That is all. Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Jeez.
That is a movie we did.
Gina Gershon as Helen Caparelli from Bound and Showgirls, and yet Stephen Tobolowsky as Eric Cluster. Cluster and Caparelli are the CBS execs. Those aren't their real names. They are portraying real people, but those aren't their real names. He's in Groundhog Day and Sneakers.
Episode we did.
There you go. Rip Torn is in there for a hot second as John Scanlon.
I thought that was Rip Torn.
Really quick. Dodgeball, Men in Black, and then Lindsay Krause as Sharon Taylor, who is Lowell Bergman's wife or girlfriend. They don't really say if his wife.
They don't say whether or not. Yeah.
She was nominated for an Oscar for Places in the Heart, and she's also in Slapshot. Slapshot. So Al Pacino, I'm terrible at doing this, but Lowell Bergman is the producer of the 60-minute show. Obviously, Christopher Plummer is playing Mike Wallace, who is obviously Mike Wallace, the real life. Russell Crowe is Jeffrey Wigand, who is the whistleblower. And then Fiore and McGill are playing Scruggs and Molly, who are kind of his lawyers for a little bit in Mississippi. And then Sandifer, Michael Gambon is playing Sandifer. Sandifer is the head of Brown and Williamson in the movie, and he's one of the seven dwarfs when he's up on the stage. Excuse me, not stage, when he's up at the Senate hearings.
Senate hearings, denying that cigarettes can be addictive or nicotine
right,
addictive or
right.
whatever.
Okay. You want me to start, or do you want me to find out what you thought of this?
Whichever way you want to go. Well, let's start with you because we always start with me.
I love this film. I love this film. And after I watched this movie, I texted Adrian. And I was like,
his cinematographer buddy.
Yes. And he's currently shooting The Miniature Wife. And I just watched The Insider. I love this movie is so good. And he's like, it still holds up. And I go 100%. This movie. And I think for a lot of reasons, I have highlighted different scenes in the movie where each of the top three actors really shine. And I'm sure there's other, I think one of the reasons why I think you might've liked this movie is because of the acting.
Right.
Because there's a lot of really cool moments, and there's a lot of, like, there are like Crowe and Pacino and Plummer, when they're together, it's almost like they're sparring and you're just there kind of like watching
actors,
and enjoying it and what's happening. But this movie's 2 hours and 37 minutes and I did not fall asleep. It did not feel long to me.
Wait, you didn't fall asleep?
No. That's what I'm saying. Like I was so engaged in the film, and I had already seen it, that I really, really, this is probably up there. You talk about Thief being your favorite Mann film or favorite film you did here that you had seen.
Favorite film we did here.
This is probably really on the high end of the Mann films for me. Like I really like this movie much, much more. Just the same. I know I loved it back then, but I really like this film.
Is this just your second watch? Is this the second time you've ever seen it, or you've seen it? This all sparked because I showed you that scene. Because you showed me the scene in the courtroom.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen scenes from the movie. That's a show.
That you hear
that I'd seen everything. I never sat down and watched it again. No. Okay. But I had seen different scenes, and I actually had forgotten about a few scenes about the when Mike Wallace goes in on Caparelli when he's like, Mike, and he's like, that's Mr. Will, and he starts yelling at her and stuff. I forgot a lot of the Bergman stuff, but yeah. So I guess this is my full watch. But when I watched it, I was remembering and all that stuff. So I'm curious what you thought of this film.
This movie is 27 minutes too long. 37 minutes too long. It is very good. But it is too long. It is too long.
What are we cutting?
We are cutting.
Actually, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off.
Okay.
Finish your thought.
We can get into that. But the acting is very good. The music is also atrocious. The soundtrack it just doesn't belong in this film. It gets into like this gladiator kind of like epicness that it doesn't belong. That being said, everything else you're saying about the movie is great, is perfect. Like the acting is superb. The story is ominous. It's creepy in that it's so believable and so like, that companies like that can have that kind of power that, the good guys sometimes lose. It like that stuff is amazing. And the way it's shot is this is before Collateral, which was like the first film shot fully digital. And it looks like a modern film, like it's shot on film, but like the color palette, the way it looks like it's a 1999 film. And the whole time I'm watching it, I'm just like, this doesn't look like it was shot in 1999. This movie looks so modern. It still holds up so well 25 years later to like modern sensibilities, to modern, like the way it's cut, like despite the fact I think it's too long, just the way like the scenes run. I just think Michael Mann I think he's always been, including Thief, like he's just ahead of his time in terms of how he directs and shoots and he formulates a movie that I think that it's incredible. And I think that's a Michael Mann thing, is like his movies are timeless, not because of, like Thief is very 70s or 80s, but it's like, it's just, you can watch it now. And this movie is 1999 and feels like it's a 2010 movie maybe, or something like that. Like it's just dated because Pacino's, younger, but Russell Crowe is older. And I think that's another thing they do a fantastic job is like aging Russell Crowe. I think he does an amazing job. I just think the acting is great. I just think, just to counterbalance you, that I think it's a little too long, and the music when it pops up in certain places, just like, ugh.
I have a note that I love the music because
it's anywhere else. I think it would be a really good score. It just doesn't seem appropriate to the film that they're telling.
The moment I'm thinking of is in the beginning when it's first starting out and it's first picking up, and it's like I think my note is that the music like carries us through, like it feels like it's leading me up to like there's something big. And there is, when you first meet Wygand, that's not why Bergman meets Wygand. He meets him he wants him to just kind of like consult on documents that he has.
He knows he used to work for the tobacco industry. He just wants, hey, here's this fire.
But he senses
report.
something.
Can you tell me stuff?
Right. He senses something in Wygand that he knows something and he wants to tell him.
Because Wygand kind of outwardly goes, I can tell you this. I can only tell you what's in this. I can't tell you other stuff.
And I feel like the music.
Why would you say that if you didn't?
Right.
Yeah.
But I feel like for me, the music mimics that. Like, oh, what does he know? And it's like leading me to like what's next. That's where I felt with the music.
It's just toward the end, like some parts where they try to get beats and it sounds like Gladiator, and you get the and you get the like. I just don't think that's not what this movie is, and those moments kind of take me out and make me go, oh, well.
I can't remember what you're talking about.
There's a couple of moments where it's like it hits the mark, and it's definitely like kind of like the sad theme from Gladiator, where there's like the operatic like singer, and I'm just like, I don't think that's needed in here. Okay, I think more of which Michael Mann is more toned to like he uses a lot of popular music sometimes. Obviously, he's famous for that in Miami Vice, but like just like some more low key, maybe. Some more low key music. Like I feel like this was very like the music was a little more outrageous for a Michael Mann film than usual. Okay. Well, where do you think you need to cut? I think from the moment that they get him in the recording studio to the moment where you find out they're not going to use the episode, they're not going to use it. So the whole movie leads up to him doing this, or the first hour and a half of the movie leads up to, we have to get Wygand into. They want to get him to court. A deposition so that they can then record or release the 60 Minutes episode, because they record it first. They just don't release it. And that was the initial plan. The initial plan was to get him into court first. Get him to deposition, then record it. But timing just went where we got in the movie. And in the movie, they mess with him or something like that. The companies, and then he's like, I want to do it right now. I want to come to New York right now. They leave the bullets, and there's the guy there, and they send the email. Yes. Oh, you know what? No, it's the fake FBI guys. Well, not fake. Yeah. Yeah. They come and the FBI office who like, who they know that his former boss is in the Brown and Williamson. Yeah. So they take his computer. They accuse him of putting the bullet in there himself. Yes, yeah. For the mailbox because he's being threatened. Well, they don't believe him. They're just clearly just giving him a hard time. Yeah. So he's like, you know what? Let's get this video over with. So they record the video, and then from there on, it's just, are they going to use the video? Are they not? Or they get the court case? And I just feel like you're not real. I don't want to cut you off, but you're not into the whole how like the fact that it's not just 60 Minutes has to fight with CBS News. I'm into that. I'm into the journalistic integrity portion of it. I just think it's too long, because what story are you telling? Are we telling Wygand's story, or are we telling Bergman's story? And I understand that it's a little bit of both, and it's almost more Bergman's story. But I just think it needs to have that kind of focus, which it doesn't have, because we almost drop Wygand for the next hour and focus on Bergman, as Wygand's just kind of sitting waiting for whether or not everything he did is in vain. I just don't think it needs to be another hour and 37 minutes of that. I think maybe an hour and 7 minutes of that. Well, what are you cutting then? I don't think you need to cut scenes. I just think you need to shorten scenes. I think it can be condensed. Like, I don't know if you need the Unabomber crap with the FBI guy. Maybe you can cut that. Well, I think that's like 5 minutes. But that's a historical. Again, this is obviously a true life event. So he's doing more stories than just the one. Right. Yeah. But also, like, I think that shows you that this stuff is all happening while there's other things in the world happening. Like the O.J. Simpson case has just ended. Right. That's just ended. And now the Shah of Iran they talked to. Right. And they're tracking the Unabomber throughout this, which was obviously a big thing back then. Yeah. I just think also that shows that Bergman is always working and always like he's always on the case. He's always on big cases. He's making deals. I love that opening scene where he's in the Middle East and he's got the coffee, and they've got that same like when they go and have the conversation with the Shah, and the terrorist steps forward and is yelling. I go, is this guy a terrorist in every movie he's in? Every movie. He's Iron Man. You don't mess with the Zohan. True Lies. I'm like, I've seen this guy in like 5 things. Stereotyping, but hey, he's getting jobs. Syed Badrea. That's his name. But I love that. I love when he's like, you get to know Bergman right away when he's like, what assurances? I need assurances that you're going to be level and fair. And he's like, no, you don't get that. Yeah. You've seen 60 Minutes. We're the most notable, reputable show with the largest audience on TV. that's your proof right there.
Right.
That's what you get. And like from then on, you know where Bergman stands on the truth, on standing up to people, on his integrity.
And
he's telling the Shah while he's tied up and blindfolded and could be shot at any time. Here's what we're doing.
Which is which when you think about that, you're now going to be told a story that is going to end with Bergman can't ever say that again, because when he tells Wallace that he's quitting, he's like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Tell them I can protect him? Maybe. I can't work like that. That's, everything's gone. It's broken. It won't be fixed.
Yeah. Because everyone's just gonna be like, what happened to that Wygant guy?
Right. I don't think this is a story about Jeffrey Wygant. To your point, I think this is a story about this 60 Minutes story. And I think that once Wygant delivered his
portion of it,
now it fell on Bergman and Wallace to get it to air. And the fact that they have to go through they're like, okay, we're going to run it. We're all good. And then CBS News comes in. Hey, can we cut another version? You can already see from Bergman that he knows where this is headed. Like you cut a different version. That means you're going to use it. And so I think that just kind of he's got to play that game now. He's got to get this thing on the air. He's got to follow through with a promise that he made to Wygant to get him to do it. Sure. To basically get him to blow
why
up
he
his
put
life.
him in the seat. Yeah. No, I get that. I think maybe another thing you maybe cut or keep or shorten is the smear campaign part.
But that's not, I think,
because I get that this is based on real life and these things happened.
Right.
But he solves it so quick.
Who solves it?
Bergman. It just kind of comes out and he's like, give me the day. And then he's like, this is BS. This is clearly part of the smear campaign. It gets solved so fast. It's like, I don't know if it needs to be in the film. I get that it's historically accurate and it did happen. And it's alluded to at the beginning when Wygant says, I was caught shoplifting once.
Well, then you're going to have to cut out all that. But then you're also going to have to cut out when he tells him, like, you do this, they're going to come at you and they're going to come at you hard. I think it just adds to the tension. I don't think you can cut any of that stuff out. I think you need all that.
Then it's got to be. I just think it should be shortened. I just think it does feel long because I feel like you hit like an end, like a denouement, as it were, and then you continue going. I just think maybe you could just cut these things shorter and just like, because that's the denouement. That's where we're going downhill now. Or it feels like, all right, now we're that's the rising action, and now we're going down.
Mm-hmm.
And then we don't. And I'm just kind of like, oh, I thought we were kind of done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's a little too long.
And I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't agree with you. I don't think there's nothing in here that I don't want cut because I think you need it. And I think it's a long movie. And I think it's a film and a story that needs this length. Yes, I have opined against
long movies
and stuff like that. But I'm not trying to joke with you that I did not feel the length. I was locked in to this film.
I felt it was a little too long. And maybe just 10 minutes. Maybe just quicken the pace of some of the later scenes or even some of the beginning scenes. So I just think that the pacing was a little off where I did feel like it was a little long. Not like I was like, oh, where is this thing?
It kind of feels like you're spitting.
It wasn't like the beginning of Nosferatu.
If I ever meet Michael Mann, I'm going to tell him that you hate the inside.
No, it wasn't like the beginning of Nosferatu where I'm like this and you're like, yeah, dude. Yeah.
I think with Nosferatu, it's because we already talked about this, but I think it's because we know the story and like we know
we're waiting to get to the vampire. Yeah. Once it starts, it's grown on me in my opinion, Nosferatu.
Okay.
I just think the beginning is kind of like,
so you're going to get it on Blu-ray?
The Blu-ray would have to have a lot of special features that I'd be into. I'm really into special features on my Blu-ray.
Gotcha.
Or if it doesn't go to streamers ever, then I'm like, I guess.
All right. So now that you're breaking my heart here because you don't like The Insider.
I do like The Insider.
No, you don't.
It's
just true. You heard this nonsense.
It's just a little long.
Nonsense.
So I do like no. It's not that it's a little long.
I can't look at you in this episode right now.
I can't look at you. I think Russell Crowe does a really, really good job.
Who's best? Who's the best actor in this film? Exactly.
It's Pacino.
I want to talk about scenes and moments and acting and all that stuff because I know that you dig that and I want to talk about that.
Okay.
So you think Pacino's the best actor in this film?
I love when Pacino goes all Pacino on people.
He doesn't go
full crazy.
Like Heat Pacino.
But he's still like I love when he teaches people a lesson because it's always like you're drawn to the screen and you're like, get him, Al, get him.
So what scenes?
I love the scene where he busts out the book on the SEC filing on Brown and Williams
in the office. Yep.
Not a company they own buying CBS.
Yeah.
And he goes through who's going to profit, and it's Gina Gershon's character.
Yep.
It's the
Cluster. Yep.
The head of the
It's
news industry guy.
Hang on. It's Helen Caporelli and Eric Cluster.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even Don Hewitt was going to.
How much money they're going to. Well,
yeah.
Hewitt didn't know. He wasn't
one of the ones?
He didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's naming these people how much money they're going to make.
Yeah.
And that's the price of their journalistic integrity.
Because they're going to be bought by Westinghouse.
Because they're going to be bought.
Yes.
So we're just going to say, screw it. We don't care.
Yeah.
Because, we're going to make money. And he's going off on this rant and this holier than thou rant, which he's not wrong. He's right.
Mm-hmm.
He's exactly what you want every American reporter to be and stand for. And you're watching this and it's great. And then Wallace breaks his heart by siding with the douchebags.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but he's still like, his speech is awesome because he's got that, when he's talking about this, you're like, you believe in journalism.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like that, like when Michael Keaton in the newspaper, when he's going and talking about like why you drive and why you go. And like, he doesn't get like that kind of rousing speech, but the whole movie is about that kind of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all like Bergman and Pacino as Bergman really like makes me believe it and makes me like believe in journalism again. And like, it's just like, it's so good. It's so good. So I think he's got to win, but like, I think Russell Crowe does a great job. I just think Pacino, anytime he's in a movie and he like gets to act like The Irishman, I don't like The Irishman, but I love every scene Pacino is in The Irishman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, that's Pacino. I love him. It's great. Give me a Dunkachino.
That's a great scene. The scene in the Japanese restaurant is really good between the two of them.
Yes.
When Crowe is like kind of Wygant's trying to dictate to Bergman about things, and Bergman's like, no, that's not like he's kind of going back. They're kind of going back and forth.
Wygant thinks that like Bergman needs him, and it's not like that. It's like you chose to be the whistleblower.
Yeah.
This is what it is. I'm not holding your hand. I'm not your dad.
Yep.
Not your friend. I'm the guy who's going to get you on camera to do this stuff.
And most of the scenes between them are really good. They're in that scene. There's a weird 180 camera move that it's really quick. They've got them. They're talking. They're Crowe's on the left and Pacino's on the right. And then they're doing ones. And then for some reason, the camera switches views for one line or two lines where Pacino's on the left and Crowe's on the right. And then we go back and it doesn't go back again. I'm like, what was that? And I don't know if it was a pickup they needed or something like that, but it was a weird cut.
Like in the middle of the argument.
They're just talking.
While they're talking.
Yeah. And
I don't remember that.
It was a weird thing.
I was too into the conversation.
Well, if you ever go back and watch it. I liked Plummer in the scene at the hotel room when he goes and after he realizes that Bergman, Pacino's character, has given their story to the Washington Post, not the New York Times.
Yeah.
And has basically said that 60 Minutes has this.
Dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Had it and dropped it.
And Wallace has agreed. And like how he's, he comes in. That whole scene where Wallace tells him, basically like, tries to yell at him, but he can't because he's not in the, and he's talking about how
Bergman's
like,
right,
when you get my age.
You're ruining my legacy, basically.
Right. You're worried about, And then you kind of have to, like, Wallace has to, because when he does that, when he breaks his heart in that scene you're talking about,
right?
All immediately you're like, oh man, come on, Mike Wallace, you jerk.
Yeah.
And then he has to you have to watch Wallace kind of rectify the fact that, because he says that at the end, we fucked up. We shouldn't have done that when he tells you, because when he goes back and argues with Don Hewitt,
right? Or
not, whatever, Hewitt, and they're like, he's like, Mike will tell you, Mike, and he's like, we fucked up, man. We shouldn't have done. Like he kind of gets there and knows it.
But I don't know if he gets there. I mean, I do think Plummer's really good in that scene.
Yeah.
And he's really good when he yells at.
I love that,
Mike. It's just
Mike.
We had to, Mike. Just because we work together doesn't mean I've worked 50 years in this business that you can call me Mike with my journalistic integrity that you flushed down the drain in one foul swoop. You cut me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's good.
I love it.
But I think it's just that Mike Wallace got caught with his pants down. And so now he's got to sign with Bergman because Bergman put him in a corner.
Well, I mean,
so it's kind of like,
right.
I do like that Wallace is like, we fucked up. But I don't feel like it's because Wallace learned his lesson. I think it's because Bergman gave Mike no choice.
No, he learned.
You either go with this or you're going to be the guy.
But he's not going begrudgingly. I don't think the movie's portraying it as he's going begrudgingly. Bergman told him you were wrong. You shouldn't have done it like this.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And there's nothing he can do. And he was right. And he has that great line where he's like, I think I put it on the story You know, like when you said fame lasts for 15 minutes.
No. Fame. You're thinking of fame. Fame lasts 15 minutes. Infamy lasts a little longer.
Right. And honestly, if they didn't do that and this didn't come out and it came out 10, 15 years later, how they
it would make him look worse.
Mike Wallace would look terrible. Yeah.
It would multiply. Yeah, multiple times.
100%.
That's why Mike Wallace, once it came out, he had to say, yeah, we messed up and let's put this on
Yeah,
air.
but you're saying he's saying we messed up because
Bergman backed him into the corner.
But
he'd have rather the story just not came out.
He didn't agree with him. You're saying that he's doing it begrudgingly.
He's doing it begrudgingly because he wants his leg to protect his legacy.
In the beginning.
In general.
The first choice.
Not
to air the cut version.
To air the cut version. But then obviously the cut version was even more cut.
He's protecting his legacy, yeah.
Yeah, and then the cut version was even more cut.
But you're telling me that you're not giving Mike Wallace or I'm
not giving him the benefit of the doubt.
You're not giving him any credit in the movie that he needed Bergman to show him that he's wrong to understand that.
No, I'm giving Bergman more credit for cornering Mike Wallace and giving him no choice but to air the.
So people can't make mistakes and they can't learn from their mistakes by somebody telling them, like, no, you made him wrong choice.
I don't think he learned because he gives Bergman that speech. And then the next thing he's like, we fucked up. We got to do it.
Yeah, because Bergman's not backing down from him in that speech.
Because he gave him no quarter.
In the hotel room. Yeah. No, I know because you have to believe that Wallace goes into that hotel room to kind of tell him off, to say like, I can't, this is why I made that decision. How can you do it? And Bergman's basically saying, you're still wrong and I don't care. You have to believe that Wallace left that meeting and kind of had to think about like, he's right. You know what? He's right. You're not even giving him that. Great people, great leaders make mistakes and great leaders apologize and understand they need somebody to kick them in the ass sometimes.
Oh, for sure. I get that.
But you're not letting them go get to the decision like, you're right, I was wrong, I'm going to change it. You're not letting them do that. You want him to do a scene where he's like, he has that moment.
I don't
buy it.
I don't need him to have that scene. I just don't buy the we fucked up as necessarily being.
You don't buy that being the moment?
I don't know.
Well, I can't add more scenes for you.
Yeah,
it's too long.
Then I would want one more scene where he's like, But I do think I like that Bergman just doesn't, like, he says that speech. Bergman just got really like, Mike. Like, that's literally his response.
Bergman's running on one principle is that he always tells the truth and he always comes
exactly.
through for
What do you think I was going to do, Mike? What do you think I was going to do?
Right.
Just sit on it. You know who I am. You know what I do. I get you people because I promise and I make good on that promise.
Right.
And I've never known.
And Bergman puts out fires. Like you talked about how he knew that the Wall Street Journal was going to post that basically smear campaign about Wygant. So he had those two people go and just refute everything that they're going to put in there.
Right.
And he's putting out that fire to have him push a week.
Give me 1 week. Was it 1 week or 3 days?
He asked him to give him, he said, I'll give you a week.
Okay.
When he gives the documents to the guy outside.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's got the FBI guy that he deals with.
Right. And then the whole FBI guy recalls him.
I love when he threatens the FBI. Oh, yeah. Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to go through and I'm going to find out maybe the head of the department head that you don't know and you don't want to investigate and now works for William and Brownstone and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'll go back to you.
Even when he calls him up and he's like, and he goes at the end of the movie when he calls him up, he's like, so guess who I just ran into?
Tucciologists.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Well, what other scenes in this film do you like? I mean, I already know you like.
Oh, the courtroom scene is awesome. Yeah. When oh my God, what's his character? When Ron Motley, Bruce McGill's character, tells the tobacco industry lawyer to shut up.
Yeah. Like,
this isn't North Carolina, South Carolina. This isn't even in Kentucky. This is the state of Mississippi. Wipe that smirk off your face. And he's like, whoa. And it's like, oh, that is awesome. That is such a good, go ahead. And like, Jeff's just like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a small, like McGill's not in the movie. He's probably in the movie for
5-10 minutes tops.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And he has such a huge moment in the film. It's like, I'm sure as like an actor who, does like a lot of those supporting roles, that's probably like the like a perfect moment.
Oh yeah.
In a movie. Because
you come in and you just give one of the best performances and you walk out and you're just like,
see you later.
Stop that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's such a great scene. And they have to like kind of like lead because they talk about the order because he's not supposed to talk. Then he goes back to Kentucky because if he talks, that he can get arrested and he goes back to Kentucky.
He'll be found in contempt in Kentucky because he talked to Mississippi.
But they don't even do anything.
Well, they don't say he will. They just say he could.
Right.
But at that point, he already says it. So it's kind of like once the cat's out of the bag, you're just making yourself look more guilty by doing anything.
Well, they also talk about how the lawyers were able to get it sealed, which didn't matter because they it's not going to affect the case that he was under for the deposition.
Right.
So they were able to seal his deposition so nobody could see it or read it. But the lawyers who need the deposition, that's fine. I just need it for my court case.
Yeah.
But obviously then when they didn't air the 60
They
minutes
needed
clip,
court of public opinion. Yeah. To
Yes.
help sway the jury. Yeah.
Yeah. And that attorney general is actually the real attorney general.
I saw that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
He was the real attorney general during that time.
Yeah. So I just throwing that you don't like this film.
I didn't like it. It's too long and the music was kind of weird at
breaking
times.
my heart. You're breaking my heart. Just breaking my heart. I should have got some, you know, good. I'm glad I got this negative review that you can look at. Actually, before I do the reviews, I want to do, because I talked about how I was nominated for 7 Academy Awards. So actually, let me run through that. So Russell Crowe was nominated for Best Actor, which I'm surprised, Best Actor in a lead role. The movie was nominated for Best Picture. It's nominated for Best Sound, Butler. Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. And it didn't win anything.
Wow.
Well, that goes to how big of a year 99 was.
Yeah.
I think Spacey won Best Actor that
For
year.
American Beauty?
Yeah. I, for some reason, thought that Crowe won Best Actor for A Beautiful Mind. But I don't.
Did not.
No.
I don't remember who won, but I remember it was like a big surprise. Like
I will say this, that although he got the award for Gladiator, he probably deserved it for this film. I think this is the better film.
It definitely showcases his acting chops a bit more.
Yeah.
But I think that he had just gotten it for Gladiator. So
Yeah, no, I get
why,
it.
yeah.
Tom Hanks got it 2 years in a row.
That's Tom Hanks. Not everyone could be Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep.
Tom Hanks, I always say that Tom Hanks shouldn't have gotten it for Philadelphia because I think it's just the subject matter that got him that. Like Denzel Washington
100%.
probably should have got. I don't think he got.
He would have
nominated.
gotten supporting, but no, he did not.
But he should have got nominated or won. But he should have won for Apollo 13. I think he's like
He's
the
good in that,
strongest
yeah.
in Apollo 13. Yeah, but who cares? Getting nominated is the big one. Yeah, so it was nominated for 7, didn't win any. So boo-hoo. Let me get to some reviews. Herb Ebert, who you'll hate, praised its power to absorb, entertain, and anger. I know you don't care about that. So David Anson from Newsweek said, Mann could probably make a movie about needlepoint riveting, employing a big canvas, a huge cast of superb character actors, and his always exquisite eye for composition. He's made the kind of current events epic that Hollywood has largely abandoned to TV and shows us how movies can do it better.
Yeah, I'd agree
I
with
think
that.
this is when like Sopranos was on TV and
HBO was starting to do the big like movie of the week things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Michael Mann knows how to make things like riveting and like you said, it's timeless. Like the way he shoots, it's just the whole time I'm just like, this is 99.
If you've watched enough Michael Mann films that when the movie starts off and you get those hard close-ups of like, you know, right behind Russell Crowe's face is just walking out of the building.
Oh yeah,
Like just like it's a Mann film. You know that okay, this is a Michael Mann directed film because he just has a certain style that transcends, as Butler's saying,
the decades.
Yeah. It's just such a unique and such a style that it just always hits.
It's kind of like Spielberg. Like Spielberg's like, it's a Spielberg movie. It's not necessarily a 70s movie or an 80s.
Spielberg has a very classic directorial style. A lot of big wides, a lot of big camera movements, a lot of big action going on in scenes. The camera's organic to the story.
Scorsese with his tracking shots and his one shots. It's like certain directors have that look where it's insert director here film instead of a film from the 80s, a film from the 90s, where they're just taking what's going on with their contemporaries. They're doing what they do. And there's a Michael Mann quote that I love from, I think when he was making Collateral, he says just off the cuff, he's like, I've never watched anyone else direct a film. I don't know how other people direct a film.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I only know how to make a Michael Mann film because that's all I know. And I love that quote.
And that should tell, like, that's, I think we talked about this a lot of times, just like that cookie cutter acting style that comes out of Hollywood, like in the 90s. And everyone's doing this with their hair and the same things. It's like, you know, there's a reason why a lot of actors and actresses are from Australia and are from other parts of the country because they're more interesting and they have a style that's their own and different. They're not all being taught by the same person. And I remember first starting out and they were talking about like, oh, you need to take Meisner. You need to do this. You need to take 5 years.
You're in the Strasbourg Institute or like Groundlings.
What's with all these guardrails and what I need and what I need or shouldn't do or something like that. You know, like it's just, it's nonsense. So yeah, it's really cool when, you know, like you have that style. Like Tarantino, yes, Tarantino has a style. And yes, he takes from a lot of stuff that he watched in his video store growing up, but like he still makes it his own. Like you could still watch a Tarantino film. His style is more on screen, is more production design, is more characters, more dialogue. It's not as, there's some camera stuff, but he's more like on the screen.
Yeah,
You can tell
100%.
his stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Making the image. Yeah.
right. Owen Gleiberman gave this film a B and felt that it was a good but far from great movie because it presents truth-telling in America as far more imperiled than it is. What does that mean?
Are you paid by the Monsanto Corporation to give us that quote?
Exactly. Like who owned DW? Who owned Entertainment Weekly when you did this?
Yeah, like it's way different than it is. It happened. All this stuff happened. Apparently the script was like 300 pages because of fact checking.
Yeah.
It's like it's more imperiled than it is. It's imperiled. It was right there on there on the page with facts. That's a BS paid for quote if I ever seen one.
What's funny about this quote is that I looked this up on Wikipedia where I usually get them, and it just said Entertainment Weekly. It didn't give the name. And I was like, why won't you give me the name? So I click on the link, I go there, and then I go to this generic, it must be an archive page of Entertainment Weekly reviews, and it's just the review. It's just a snapshot review. And there's no name.
Doesn't have a name.
And then underneath it's like other links. And it was like Owen Gleiberman, the Insider 99 review. I click on it, and then that review pops up, and it's longer, but it had that quote in there. I'm just like, why are you hiding it? Like, why can't you just attribute it to him? So I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, okay,
suspicious.
BS. Only man film to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Pick.
That's ridiculous. Have they not watched Thief? Have they not watched Collateral? I know I'm in the minority. Like, I think people like Collateral, but I think not as many people are as like obsessed with Collateral as I am. But Collateral's amazing. So
the courtroom that they were in is the real courtroom.
I saw that. That's cool. Yeah.
And the real Jeffrey Wygant had 2 concessions. Did you see that when they asked him if they could make this film?
Don't use his kid's real name.
Change the name of his daughters.
And no one should be smoking during the movie.
Right.
Except they have the bad guy smoke, the terrorist smoke at the beginning.
Well, yeah, like in the back.
And then there's 2 people smoking in the movie, but they're like in the background.
Yeah.
So who can tell if it was on purpose or not?
Right.
Yeah.
It might not have been. They might not have been. I think they're like on the streets. Right?
Yeah, they were all outside scenes. So they might just have been people smoking.
So somebody saw this note and probably went to the movie and watched it scene by scene to see if they could see anybody smoking. Ridiculous.
Did this movie remind you a little bit of Michael Clayton?
Yeah. And I think when you were referencing
which is another movie we did.
When we were talking about, I can't remember what we were talking about in this episode about Brown and Williamson, what they know. And like the big thing in this film is that the tobacco industry knows that they're in the nicotine delivery business.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing is they're putting chemicals
nicotine in your body as good as they can.
Putting chemicals in the
cigarettes
to enhance the nicotine effect. So it passes the blood barrier at your brain and kind of like gives
you the hit faster.
Yes, yeah. So, but in there's no smoking gun. There's no memo that says, yes, we know what it's doing. Like in Michael Clayton, where they have that memo.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, it did. Obviously Clayton's a little bit more
overt, and they're coming after him.
Well, it's also a little bit more. It's more dramatic, more not fictional than it is. Just, you know what I mean? I think they're towing the line here.
It's more of a thriller.
No. But I mean, I like Michael Clayton quite a bit. I think one of the reasons why I like this movie is a lot of stuff we talked about is the acting is just the quality of everything on screen.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Michael Mann, who we both like. So I think what draws me to this film is it's intriguing about the whole tobacco industry and all that stuff, but it's also what the acting is and what I'm seeing on screen from Pacino and Crowe and Plummer. It's just top notch. It's always been top notch. I can't believe you don't like this film. I was surprised that this movie didn't make money.
Like you said, 1999 was a hell of a year.
Well, the note I have here is that executives believe that this movie had limited appeal to younger moviegoers, obviously.
Well, yeah.
Studio executives, I guess, repeatedly said that the prime audience was over 40, then the subject matter was not notably dramatic. It's like, okay, but don't you know that going in? Don't you understand the movie you're making? This is the movie you're making.
Big Tobacco got to them. I think that, obviously that's it. And that's up to the marketing department to make people interested in the movie.
Yeah.
To show them that the movie is riveting, regardless of maybe it's not even mundane. It was a big story, but like that's marketing's department to be like, we're going to make this seem like it was a big story. We're going to remind them that this is something.
And it's only like 5 or 7 years removed from
the actual.
Yeah. So maybe it's too close. Maybe it need to be
a little further out.
Maybe. I don't know. So why would you even recommend this to people, Butler?
Yeah. I don't not like it. I just think it's a little long and the music was weird. I think the acting is fantastic. The story they're telling is really interesting, riveting, creepy, scary that companies can have this kind of power. Companies that literally kill people. Yeah. A company that like kills people for a living. Like some of the notes, we didn't even get into the note because it doesn't really have anything to do with movies. Like the amount of money they still make around the world. Like how many people are smoking and how many people still die from it. How much it costs the world's economy to take care of these sick people that get sick from smoking.
Not even
cigarettes.
that. They all purchased all the vape companies and they all own the vaping companies.
Exactly.
So like all those vapes are, And you talk about like rules here and laws here where they're not allowed to promote to children. They're not allowed to, just basically advertise the kids are smoking. They do that everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't happen here, but it happens around the world. Right. Smoking might be down here, but in third world countries and stuff, they can do whatever they want still. Right. And the amount of money that like, they paid out $264 million or whatever it says at the end of the credits is like, oh yeah, here you go. Here's $5 out of my wallet basically to them.
Right.
They don't care.
You're still making money.
Like that's scary. And I think that would like, I would recommend this to people because it's like, this is a true thing that happened. And this is like what a whistleblower went through to get the truth out. And like, that's like, people are like, oh, it doesn't take much to be a whistleblower. Like, just go out and tell the truth. It's like, well, here's what happens when you do. Your wife leaves you. You leave your kids in danger. You lose your job, your career, your house, your home, your medical insurance. His life crumbled, and his wife kind of sucks. For sure. Whether she did in real life or not, who knows? But
I just can't do this.
Yeah, come on. When he's like, can we talk about this when I get back? And she's like, yeah.
Oh, you knew she was gone.
Did he not know? Like, come on.
Or when they leave her house, she's like, I'm gonna miss this house. I'm going to miss the kid.
Those were the first steps. And then you miss your big house.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's big. So yeah, I would recommend this to people. I think that, I think a ton of people.
Yeah, but who?
Anybody over the age of 25 would find this interesting. The TikTok generation, Gen Alpha is not going to be like, oh yeah, this is riveting. I want this. You got to be older to watch this movie. You have to have an appreciation for film, acting, or just the subject matter. But I think if you're an adult, I think you would find a lot to like about this movie because Michael Mann shoots movies that are movies you want to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely an older person movie, but it's also a movie for people who are, not in the business, but love the business of acting or love the business of movie making. You don't have to be like a filmmaker or a writer, but if you like if you're a cinephile, right? I think it's a great film to watch. It's a great film to see. It's great to see Al Pacino doing something. I mean, I don't think that Al Pacino phones anything in anymore. I think that he's older now, but even in his older age, he still finds roles where he can, he connects with the character and he's still learning. I think I talked about it in the show a long time ago about sometimes actors get to a point where they just don't think they need to learn anymore about acting and they just kind of like coast through a little bit and you can kind of see the movie roles to choose and you could tell they're not really doing a lot of stuff. It is what it is. That's just sometimes people get comfortable and content and they do that. Mm-hmm. But Pacino has never struck me as that kind of actor. He's always somebody who is always like solid. Even Plummer. Plummer's always been a great actor, and it wasn't until he was older where people really started to appreciate him more, and that's where all the Oscar nominations come from, and all the award. He won Beginners in 2016. So I mean, I think he passed away in his 80s. I'm not sure.
Passed away just a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just, and I think Crowe's the same way. I think Crowe. Crowe hates Hollywood, I think, pretty much. I mean, in terms of just like the hypocrisy of it a little bit.
Sure, yeah. But the game.
And so he does a lot of stuff that he wants to do right now. But I think if there's a role that came along like now, that Crowe found that Crowe was really on, I think you would get he would just blow you away.
Well, I think he really likes the Exorcist guy when he played because he's doing it again, another one.
That's a fun that you haven't seen really that one, the Pope's Exorcist.
Yeah, he really liked that role.
It's a fun role. It's because he's like it's steeped in like spirituality and God and faith, but it's also like almost like an action film. So yeah, no, and that's fine. I didn't mind the Pope's Exorcist. I didn't hate it. I was happy with it. It did what it needed to do. I can't remember the other one was
the Exorcism.
Yeah. That was okay. He's still good and stuff. Like he's always still good and stuff. Whether the movies are good or not, that's another story. Like I've never seen the movie. Never seen the movie that they did during the pandemic where he was
the road rage guy.
Yeah, I never saw that.
I watched some of it and I was like, I can't.
I never saw it. I never saw it.
Yeah. The movie is very uncomfortable.
Why is this film forgotten then?
Because even though it doesn't seem like it, it is 25 years old now. It stars an older Russell Crowe, even though he's not older Russell Crowe. It's just the way they did the makeup and stuff and the way he acted. He did a phenomenal job eating cheeseburgers. The note is so stupid. For 6 weeks, he ate nothing but cheeseburgers and drank bourbon to gain 35 pounds.
He probably said that in an
which,
interview.
yeah, I don't believe.
Off the cuff.
And then the fact that it took him 5 weeks to lose 35 pounds is literally impossible unless he got his tummy tucked, which I also don't believe. So I don't believe that note.
Just put a fat suit on.
He did a good job transforming for the role. But I think that it is 25 years old, starring older actors. You know, it doesn't really. So Christopher Plummer flick doesn't really make people go, oh yeah, let me check that out then. About a cigarette company that's on the mend. But like, I feel like the assumption is, even though I just talked about the fact that how much money they're making still in America, it seems like the cigarette companies are dying and it doesn't really matter anymore. And I think that subject matter kind of isn't something people are like, ooh, I'm game to watch that. I gotta listen in on this. So I think that hurts it. It's not on the streaming. You have to rent it.
Every once in a while,
that kind of hurts
up.
it.
I think that's what it is.
Every once in a while, it comes back up on streamers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's it. I think that Michael Mann, although he still makes awesome films, he's an older director now. So it's kind of like, it's been a while since there's been a Michael Mann film that's like super exciting. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, it was like, he's the guy that Miami Vice. So yeah, people are going to want to watch stuff that he makes. Now it's kind of a little bit on a downturn, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's partly why it's forgotten, because looks wise, it does not look like a 90s film. Because you could show this to someone now and they'd be like, oh, it's like a 2010 film or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's weird because it's an adult film, like an older adult film. You would think it came out in November, so it came out at a good time.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe was there a Harry Potter film or something? No, 99.
99.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it just didn't hit. Or maybe it was too long. Who knows? I mean,
it's just the time of the movies, 1999. Just got buried by every other 1999 movie everybody wanted to see.
Well, I'm trying to go back and see what was around it again. I mean, I guess The Bone Collector was a big movie.
What was the big Christmas movie?
Oh man, I would have to look that up. Well, let me give you the Thanksgiving movie.
1999.
Toy Story 2 was the 24th.
I mean, that's killing everything.
Yeah. Toy Story 2 was limited 19th. World's Not Enough is in November.
Movie, yeah.
Sleepy Hollow. This is in November.
It's a movie we covered.
If I go in December, being John Malkovich, we already said that the wide release Green Mile was December 10th.
There you go.
Cider House Rules.
Cider House Rules, another adult movie.
December 10th.
Green Mile, adult movie.
Bicentennial.
Another adult movie.
Not good movie.
No, but another adult movie.
Magnolia.
Yeah.
Sunshine. Girl Interrupted. Any Given Sunday. Another Pacino film. Man on the Moon. Snowfall
Another
in
big
Theaters.
movie with a big hype around it. Man on the Moon.
Christmas was Galaxy Quest. The Talented Mr.
Huge
Ripley.
movie,
Angela's
movie.
Ashes. Titus.
Huge
Play It to the Bone. Not really. The Hurricane.
A huge movie.
Yeah.
The Denzel movie.
There's just a lot of really good
and they're
films.
all adult. Most of them are adult.
Talented Mr.
Yeah.
Ripley was big. Galaxy Quest was really good. There's a
Hurricane,
ton,
there's hype.
there's a
Man on
ton
the Moon,
of
there
good
was so much
films
hype.
in 99.
It just got buried.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. That's too bad. Really.
I don't not like this movie. Because I had two
broke my heart.
critiques.
Broke my heart.
We just spent over an hour talking about how good this movie
Broke my
was.
heart.
I had two critiques.
Just break my heart. Where can I find us?
Unbelievable. Well, clearly nowhere now. You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you're watching or listening to us right now. Why don't you go ahead and hit that like button, the subscribe
Smash
button.
it.
Smash it. Hit it. Whack it. Whatever you want to do. Just, leave us a comment down below. What's your favorite brand of cigarettes? No, I'm just kidding. Don't type that in.
We don't smoke.
Let us know what your favorite Michael Mann movie is or what your favorite Russell Crowe movie is. Yeah, if you want to support our show further, we've got our Patreon where we're covering a whole bunch of different films and exclusive films, timed exclusives. Like I said in the last episode we just did are The Things films where we looked at all the Thing movies. We've got our lead up series that's timed exclusive right before big movies come out, where we look at the films leading up to them, the films that came out prior. We got our look back series, all that kind of good stuff. We also have a merch store if you want to go buy some merch there. So anyway, you can support the show, including just like, rate, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps us out. So thank you.
And join us next week as things are going to continue to be upbeat as we do the neo-noir action thriller, Walk Among the Tombstones, starring Liam Neeson. So, yeah.
Ooh,
yeah, exactly.
Real happy film there.
Yeah, do some real fun stuff next week. So that's next week, A Walk Among the Tombstones. Check out The Insider. Don't listen to him. He's really bugging me right now. You're right. Get out of my house. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed listening to us talk about Michael Mann's The Insider, starring Russell Crowe. Hey, you know what else Russell Crowe's in? Gladiator, which should be the link right above me. We covered it in our lead-up series leading up to Gladiator 2.
Which we covered in our now showing episode, which is right above me. So can you see how excited we are about watching Gladiators?
Ooh, look at that.
Oh, wait a minute. What does that say about us? Anyways, watch the episodes. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for watching us. We really appreciate it. Take care, everyone.